And with that, here we are. It is January 6th, 2021. And while we in the United States of America are on the brink of civil war, I don't know what else is going on in the world, but here we are with another episode of Camera and Flask. And just to keep the mood up and happy, we have the Grumpy Penguin coming in. And I would say that that's a nice welcome to 2021. He's been in the garage working on those old cars or something, and he decided to come out and say hello. Jesse's here, and we've got Rabbit Tribble. Jesse says, let's talk about cameras. Oh, wait, we have rioters storming the U.S. Capitol building. What a crap way to start off 2021. Sitting this one out, boys. Are you sitting out the show? Are you sitting 2021 out, Jesse?
The whole year.
Because you're here.
That's probably not a bad idea.
He's been busy. Grumpy Penguin. Small Brown Fox is here. Could possibly have been drinking already. Camille from the Netherlands. And I think we should just start off, because we're on the brink of civil war, and decide what the drinks are going to be, or at least reveal what the drinks are going to be. Ben Barden in the Czech Republic. What's happening with your drinking?
I'm still on the Queen Margot from Lidl, because there's been very little booze in my house at the moment, because I'm trying to not drink quite as much as I have been doing up until Christmas. Now, I was really good over Christmas. I hardly drank anything. But then I'm just trying not to buy beer. Yeah, and not buy too much wine. So like whiskey's all right. I'm going to keep just having a little bit of that and try and shed some poundage. That's my plan the next month or two.
Beautiful.
So that's what I'm on. Yeah.
How about you, Caleb? Do you have a beer-based libation again, or what's happening?
We do. We're doing another Prairie Street.
I like that. I like that.
Rocktown Brown.
That
this is one of my favorite beers. Just a really nice brown ale.
Love it.
That bad boy open. Whoa.
Oh, get in there, kid.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, and look at that. And a super chat from Camille from the Netherlands for the booze and no politics. I will say
we can send that to DC for some duct tape, some needed duct tape to do some repairs. Yeah,
unbelievable.
Cheers. Wait.
I need a drink. Hold on. I need a drink. Look, my
snap.
wife. Look at what my wife got me. This is unbelievable. Nobody can see me because I'm doing a single on you here. Look at this. This is the 17-year Balvenie Doublewood, and it's
very nice.
This is like last year. I had that 18-year. I still have 3/4 of that bottle because that's just. It's just for special occasions. So this, to celebrate Civil War, is going to be the drink. So here we go.
Nice.
I'm not taking sides, by the way. I'm just gonna. I don't know what's gonna happen. Oh, here we go.
I think we can all agree this is stupid. What's happening right now?
Oh, I don't care what your political views are. It's so dumb.
This is dumb.
And like what you were saying, Caleb, the fact that people can storm the Capitol building and break a window and crawl through the window of our nation's capital in the United States of America. They don't have any bulletproof glass or whatever. It's the dumbest thing. I got to get a drink. Come on. I can't even. I'm beside myself here. Hold on. Let's get the little. There we go. Okay. Gentlemen, let's go. Cheers. Here it is.
Oh my gosh. What a mess.
I can't wait. Lovely. It's been a while since I've had a Balvenie, and then a 17-year to boot. It's also been a very long time since I've had that. Very nice. Having a drop of water. All right. Let's say hi to people. Who's in the chat right now?
Cheers, everybody. Bart just rolled in. We got Baron, David, Roz, Kit, Grumpy Penguin, David, Rabbit Tribble, Sky, Small Brown Fox, Mark, Camille, and others. Jesse, first person. Of course, we already mentioned his comment. Oh, man. So what do we do now?
We talk about probably not about
New
politics.
challenge off the cuff.
Yeah.
Riot / terrorism rigging.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
great.
Best
Let's do it.
case to roll into a war zone.
Backpack
man.
kit for covering a riot. That's what we should do next week.
Oh, jeez.
Are there? Well, I guess you still have a few of those original Ursa cameras around. Those are probably going to be fine. You could actually just put a few of those in the broken windows of the Capitol building, and people wouldn't be able to get in. They're so heavy.
I'm pretty sure the original Ursa is still illegal in some countries. For some reason. That beast.
Could create a
keep my eyes
bodysuit.
out. I want to buy one and do a video on it because it's just.
I know. When it's like
it'd be fun to do
$600.
a video. Yeah, but it still sells for a lot.
Really?
Used.
Really?
Yeah.
I sold one about 2 years ago and was quite surprised how much someone paid for it. It was because it's just too heavy to do anything with.
It's absurd.
Yeah, the picture is great, but wow.
6-string Brian, 2021 says to 2020, hold my beer.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
I do think I remember this time last week when you were giving it all oh brilliant, so glad to say goodbye to 2020. That 2021, the beginning of, is not looking like it's going to be much of an improvement.
Yeah.
I had no idea it was going to be quite this much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just consider it's fun. Speaking of, do you think you could make body armor out of the AJA Scion camera? Or
Yeah. Exactly.
you probably pick one of those up for, yeah.
Those are still expensive too. Because I thought it'd be fun. It would be
Really?
expensive to do this video, but it would be fun to do a worst cameras ever video.
Yes.
So original Ursa, the AJ.
Yeah.
The Scion.
What else?
They
What
came out
else
the
would you
same
guys
year,
put on
didn't
that
they?
list? To
Well,
distract us from this
I would
madness?
put it. Is it the 6000 from Sony? Like, I ordered it and I took it out of the box and I turned it on and I panned and the image went like this, and I was like slow. Yeah, I turned it like this much and it went like this, and the image was lying down and it took like 5 minutes for it to right itself. That's one of the worst cameras ever. I actually took it out. I remember I took it out of the box sitting at the table and I turned it on and I turned it, and then I went like this and I turned it off and I actually took the battery out and I put it back in the box and sent it back to B&H. That's how bad it was.
The A6000.
It was one of the first ones.
One of
Just the
those
Jello.
500 models of. It's probably like the 5N or something. I don't know. The
It was
6000.
some-
I
have
was
one of
alright. It
those.
was pretty
I
good
think
for what it was. All Sonys are trash with that, but I think the Sony A77. Remember that weird phase where Sony
Yes.
was doing like
Yes.
DSLR mirrorless-y kind of weird stuff? That was an awful camera. That was my first getting some massive hate. Oh yeah, the Fran 8K. That's a good one, Bart.
Don't make fun of the
sure.
M50. You know, the M50 can get the job done when you need it. I'm not saying it's amazing.
Yeah.
And that,
For what
that
it
mounts-
was, it wasn't bad.
it wasn't
Worst
that
cameras
bad.
of all time. I wouldn't call it a worst
No.
camera of all time. I'm trying to think. There's got to be some other ones I'm not thinking of.
Well, I
You could
remember
also
I had.
include most
yeah.
disappointing. I think
Yeah.
the Sony VG90.
Oh, for sure.
The
oh,
full
yeah.
frame camcorder. It's a full frame camcorder.
Oh yeah.
But it had
I picked
light
that one on that
leaks.
list as well.
It weighed like what, 3 ounces? I remember I picked it up the first time. It was, if you could make hollow plastic, that's what it was. I mean, like plastic that's even more hollow.
Yeah.
It's like they taped a sensor to a piece of cardboard and then put it into like a plastic container. It was and then it was pretty
And
bad.
then attach one of those awful Sony silver zooms with rubber
Yes.
bands wrapped around it. Remember those things?
The worst. The worst.
I had
There's
one.
definitely a couple worst lenses of all time. That's one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first
Wild.
Kinfinity camera I tried, they sent over, and I turned it on. Not only did all the adapters, they were like, they bubble wrapped it, and everything was loose in the box, and there were screws loose inside of the box that I had to figure out where they went. but I remember turning it on, and they knew who they were sending it to, but all the menus defaulted to Chinese, and it took me about an hour and a half to even get the menu to read in English, because I clearly don't read or speak Chinese. So it was just an hour and a half of insanity. So that was a great experience.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Philip Bloom's review of the Fran thing and that whole saga. Do you remember?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The 8K.
Yeah.
But
what about
work, and then the guy getting stroppy? Yeah, it was amazing.
But some of I think some of the coolest cameras that came out too, like you have the digital Bolex. I think that was a completely unique camera.
I've got to have that in the collection someday. Those are real expensive used.
They
like
are
$8+
insane.
grand.
But yeah, what?
That's interesting. Small Brown Fox disappointed with the XT4. I mean, I think it's definitely got some issues when it comes to the AF system, but I'm actually not disappointed, except for the fact that I wish it had a dedicated headphone jack. That's probably my biggest gripe with the camera at the moment. But that's interesting that you have an issue
speaking
with that.
of, not to pile on, or no offense to those who use Fuji, but I've decided I'm completely over Fuji.
Interesting.
Ooh, excuse me.
It's over. You're done.
It's over. I'm out for now. I think the image looks great. The cameras are really capable.
Yeah.
But I'm just all the finicky, funky stuff. It's killing me on the autofocus just being all wank. What was the word I'm looking for?
Right. No,
That's the one. That's the one. That could be the one. As I turn on monetization,
Jem demonstrates every week.
I demonstrate what? Wank?
The wankiness
and when you go into the menu system, anytime you have to change a setting that isn't like a big one, like resolution, I just want to go home and go to bed.
Yeah,
it's so exhausting. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. But you know, they're still great cameras, and I want to like them. It's, you know, when you like want to like something and you want it to work, and you're heartbroken that you like it's not working out. That's where I'm at. But you know, we'll see over time.
I mean, clearly at the moment, our strong our strong contenders in the mirrorless market are definitely A7S III. I think we can all agree that that's a pretty rock star of a camera. Again, you know, R5 and R6 are great cameras. They have their known issues. We'll see where that goes. Image is good. AF is amazing. Where do we go with the Mark IIs of those cameras? I don't know. They're not coming tomorrow, that's for sure. And then there's good old Panny. What's up with Panny? They're not quiet. They're not quiet in the mirrorless realm, but they're very quiet in the digital cinema camera realm. You know,
they are.
Let's go back to this other thing then. Do we think that Fuji will ever have the balls to basically put out a digital cinema camera in that $5,000 to $10,000 range with the lenses that they have and everything else? And I really mean the
thinking
MK.
Not so much. I think they're gonna just kind of keep pushing the video hybrid camera situation.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a while. It'd be awesome, but I just think realistically, the more I think about it, I don't think it's gonna be a thing. But I'd love to be proven wrong.
I still wish that, like, if they took the optics that they have in the 18 to 55 and the 50 to 135, and they created an AF version of those lenses and created a digital cinema camera, that would be great.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think they will, but yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if they need to have... Go ahead, Ben.
I was going to say in that range, no, but we've talked about with the medium format stuff, though. That's where they could really do something different.
Yeah, they could.
That would be something. I think trying to encroach onto that market now in that sort of 5,000 to 10,000 it's kind of saturated. I don't really see what they bring to the party with that. But going to the medium format that no one's doing yet, that's well, no one's really doing. No one's done properly. That would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think lenses need some work.
Well,
for video.
clearly, yeah. I mean, when you get outside of the MK line of lenses, their primes are great, especially for photography, and they actually hold up well, except for the limitations or the problems with AF in the cameras. But their zoom lenses are not, except for those MK series, 18 to 55, 50 to 135, they are not set up for video. I mean, you have to use them as variable primes, and that's not cutting it, especially after having what we've had from Canon and Sony and some other companies for all of these years. So that's disappointing. I wish they would
they're
get that
cine
right.
zooms. You got to use them as variable.
No. Not cine zooms. No. You do not have to. The 18 to 55 and 50 to 135 are parfocal. They're sharp. Right. They're small. They're lightweight. They're great. But as soon as you move to like their 18 to 55 kit lens, they're 16 to 80 f4. They're 16 to 55 2.8. They're great lenses optically, but as soon as you start to change, regardless of all the firmware, you just see this kind of steppiness, and you see changes in exposure while you're zooming through that range, and so you can't use that footage as you're doing that.
Right.
Not everybody shoots that way, but it is nice to be able to change your focal length, and if you needed to snap zoom into something or do something, to be able to use that shot. So I think that's a little bit of a problem. But Matt Kitchen says, I'm actually moving from a bunch of XT3s into real cinema cameras, trying to decide between C70s or FX6 A7S3, which is interesting because you're looking at C70s but not putting a mirrorless camera in there as a B or C option, but clearly thinking about the FX6. Are you thinking about FX6 or A7S3, or are you thinking about using those in conjunction? That'd be interesting to know. Still like to get my hands on that C70. I think that's going to be a pretty great camera. Yeah.
I'm still umming and ahhing about it. I think my two sort of paths on that now are either you keep the C200, but I'm going to configure a workflow for that I just shoot everything in RAW, even if I'm transcoding that down when I go in, because the difference, that's where that thing shines, and I don't really use it for most of what I'm doing. Or going for the C70. And having seen some comparison stuff between the RAW off the C200 and the 10-bit files coming off the C70, it's really impressive. It's really good. But then the AF, I've seen some slightly not glowing reports of the way that works in terms of it being a little too fast, a little too abrupt, not being able to...
Where, in the C70?
Yeah, so if that's something that can be probably fixed firmware-wise, but hasn't been as yet.
Yeah.
Very much in the way that the R, and I'm presuming the R6 does as well, and the 5. I don't know. I've not used either of those cameras, but I know it's the same way that it's far more sensitive. The AF system, in a way, is better in the way that it'll track an eye an awful lot better than the C200 will.
Yeah.
But the C200 is just so smooth and subtle in the way that it does everything. So even if it's missing focus, if it's not completely on it, it's not very noticeable. It doesn't jar. It's just very, very gentle.
That's interesting.
It deals with stuff.
I'm surprised about that. I'm surprised that it's not going to be able to be tuned the same way as that camera. For you, Caleb, if you were moving up to a digital cinema camera from the mirrorless world, and let's say you stepped outside of Panasonic or Sony in the mirrorless world, and you were going to jump into that $5,000 to $10,000 range, and you were going to invest in 1+ cameras, right now, what would you lean towards? Is there a lean towards?
Canon's pretty interesting. The C70, I'd probably explore that. Sony, the FX6, because the bee's knees for me right now is with the A7S III and my Panasonic S1. My sweet spot is finding 422 10-bit and just enough data rate, just enough high enough data rate.
Right.
Because sure, I could shoot ProRes or I could shoot RAW, or I could shoot, ridiculously high data rates. But the problem is I'm creating content weekly, and so that really gets brutal.
No.
So I love, on Panasonic especially, the sweet spot is 10-bit 422 4K at 150 megabits a second.
Yep.
So it's real low, but it's just enough. And with their V-Log, which Sony still hasn't figured out, or at least on the A7S III, you can watch it in my review, there's still funk going on. Way better than previous Sony cameras, don't get me wrong. But there's still some weird stuff going on. And bloody green. Yellows are green. I'm so over that. Golly, I'm done with that. But I'm using that camera, the A7S III, for B-roll just because the convenience is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's absurd. The autofocus is like, the whole Canon is better than Sony thing is gone. It's over.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
they're there.
In terms of AF, of course. Yeah, they got it.
Right. But I'm just like, you got to tweak every image, every shot. Still got to do all of the stupid stuff with Sony.
Yeah.
So that's where the C70 is pretty interesting. And I'm waiting for Tyler Stallman to do his review of the C70. Have you seen his stuff on social media?
Yeah, I mean, I've followed him.
Yeah, on his channel, it's great stuff. He's kind of photo, video, lots of phone stuff, lots of Canon stuff, Canadian. And he posted some images and was finding some pretty interesting results between the R5 and the C70. And his big thing, which I love that no one talks about, is dynamic range. That's his
that's his thing.
Skin tones and dynamic range, how highlights are handled and everything. So I can't wait to see what he's got for us.
Great.
I can't remember what I saw. I saw a similar review though, comparing it head to head with the C200 in terms of dynamic range and in terms of noise, and so it was, I say, directly with the RAW, and it was amazing. It was really good. And the thing that I think is most interesting about the C70, which nothing else gives you at the moment, is that adapter with the speed booster. And we're not talking about the speed booster that is a third-party thing, and Metabones are great, but I've never had one that hasn't had at some point some kind of connection issue. There's always been, they work great and they're amazing for what they do, but I've always had some minor issues with them. Nothing that stopped you shooting, but problems. And having something that's all in the same ecosystem, something that actually bolts properly onto the camera, is really, really interesting. Having that flexibility to use it in the Super 35 sensor, or to be using it in the equivalent of it, or roughly the equivalent of full frame, is massively interesting. And that, I think, more than anything else, that speed, that the Canon own brand speed booster with that system is the thing that sets that apart from anything else, I think.
Yeah, so the question on that adapter, which I feel like I'm not tracking with because I just can't remember, is it an RF to RF mount adapter, or is it RF to EF mount?
RF to EF. So you put your EF lenses onto that. So
your full frame.
You can't use so you can't use RF lenses with an adapter. That's not
right. So you can't do full frame RF lenses on the C70. You can only do full frame EF. Yeah. I mean, you can put a full frame RF lens on the C70. It's just going to be cropped to Super 35 because it's a native RF mount, right?
Yeah. So the only way that you're going to get that full frame equivalent is by using an EF lens onto the RF, which I think for a lot of people is obviously where they've got the lenses. And the new RF
for the time being,
are great. Yeah, this is going to change, but I think it's an interesting thing that is such an interesting product to me, and for a lot of the stuff that I do, being able to stick a 16mm lens on it and it be 16mm, as I'm used to as a stills photographer, I suppose, and still being able to get that sort of huge field of view, would then in some ways stop me going into the RF lenses. I mean, they're expensive, they're great, and it would be very interesting. I'm still kind of keen on that whole idea of that whole new lens system, but I think being able to keep with EF and go down that route, it's good. Yeah, very interesting. So I'm still not fully decided, but I think we're going to give the C200 a little bit longer, I think.
How much is the A7S III, Caleb? Is it like it's about $3,500 US approximately? Yeah. Okay, so when you start getting into that price point, you start building the camera up in terms of ND, audio, everything else. It's an interesting time because Matt's looking at these combinations of an FX6 and maybe an A7S III, which may not match out of the box, or they might. I don't think they will right off the bat. But you're still looking at a $5,500 to $6,000 camera, and then your B camera being a $3,500 camera, which you're going to add things to get it to be that B camera for the other one. I think it makes sense for people to be thinking about things like 2 FX6s or a couple of C70s, because having matching cameras really is a huge advantage in production.
Yeah.
Even you're doing multicam. Especially when you start getting into the quote unquote corporate world and you start shooting interviews and that kind of stuff. That's really where, there's no time in post-production. You need to get the stuff out the door quickly. I tend to lean towards either settling on a particular LUT and then, having that as a workflow from production to post, or just baking in camera, especially when you're in a studio space. I still don't get this whole idea of when you have control over dynamic range in a studio space, you don't always have to shoot in log. It's not necessary. If you know where you're trying to get to and you're shooting on a regular basis, there are some advantages, especially when you are inside of that realm of I'm going outside of dynamic range, especially in the highlights area. But in a studio space where you have a controlled environment and you control the lighting, there's nothing wrong with baking in camera. And, we're having to do that for a client that we're working with right now because of how fast we have to turn our content for them. So, to get into a whole workflow where we're shooting in log, wide gamut, we're applying a LUT, we're doing all of that kind of stuff is messy business when you're trying to turn stuff weekly, I think. Not always.
I just can't not shoot log.
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
Yeah.
Like even doing this with a photo style or a picture profile, like, feels wrong. Feels dirty.
Yeah.
You've become a snob. That's what it is.
But when you're cranking out content for a client, you have to. Sometimes there's
especially
just no choice.
with Zoom call land and like all this stuff where, like you said, things are moving really, really quick, or you have people on the other end that maybe aren't as technical.
Yep.
You can't be messing around with that.
No, and even for our green screen shoots, what we're trying to do is 10-bit 422, high enough data rate, but we are trying to get the colors right in camera if we can, and then we're trying to move towards matching all the cameras in different locations so that they're all the same camera model, because it's just a nightmare to have to, get from that log wide gamut image to exactly where you need to be, and then get footage coming in from a totally different camera that's shooting a baked in 709 look. It gets really messy, and it seems like we're not quite there yet with Cinematch, which I'd like to get my hands on at some point and see how effective that is. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I've got a version of that to try, but I'm just in the middle of sorting something out, and then I'm going to have a proper go with testing it and seeing how well that works.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for it.
Have you gotten any new kit in, either of you, recently, even if it's just little things that you're using? Caleb?
Kind
first?
of.
Yeah.
Well, a video's coming out tomorrow with some stuff that I'm playing with. Very, very interesting. And then, actually, I was watching an old video of yours, Jem, and you can actually tell me right now if this is going to work or not before I put the money down. But like we talked about last week, getting into this kind of like lean studio manufacturing kind of mode.
Yeah.
And one thing that constantly slows me down and is a big pain in the butt is tripods, dealing with tripods, raising a tripod. Like it sounds like, oh, whatever. But when you have to do it 50 times while you're shooting B-roll to get different stuff, it's a big pain, especially in a studio space, right? It's one thing if you're out and about and you're having to do it because it's life and you're on a hill, now you're on the flat ground. But when you're in a studio where you have a concrete floor, everything's like flat, it's a huge pain to like adjust 3 legs and constantly be changing it. So I was wondering if I could use a triad orbit stand on casters with a 75 mil ball on top and a really small camera package, A7S lens, just to be able to quickly go up and down and get a slight. Is there any play in that system?
Yes,
there is play.
Damn.
There's definitely. I have found that pretty much across the boards, regardless of how stable it is, save for a C stand maybe, and even then, light stands just have play. There's just no question that they're just not designed the same way. Because if you think about, I mean, we all know this, but if you think about the way a tripod is designed, everything goes up and terminates to where that fluid head is, as opposed to having some sort of vertical, system, which is just sort of sitting there with all of those columns that are going up and down, and it's inevitable that you're going to get some play in there, I think.
So follow-up question.
Go ahead.
Static shots, good enough?
Yes, fine. Yes,
or if
statics,
I have an automated head, because more and more I've been using the Arc 2 head.
Not. Probably for that.
I'm not gonna do this with a tripod head. I'm not gonna like pan at all.
No, part of the problem with that system is that the IO, which is its big strength and the thing that I love with it, the little snappy IO system.
Yeah.
I'm all rigged off one of these stands. All this that is above me right here is all on TO gear, and I love it, but it twists, and you can't lock it from twisting because the IO system has given it. There's no, so if you, I think if you're in, I don't know. Yeah, I think if you put a head on it and it really is static, and you can give a little moment with your hands way off the thing before you're rolling, and then take your hands off before you're just getting usable footage in the middle of the shot, it would work, and it's efficient. And I do have one of those with the casters on it, and it is good. It's really good. And I use it loads as a light stand. Great for that. And using the I can't remember which component it is. It's with the dual kind of ball head thing. The O2X is it called? I think that's great. I use that all the time. So I love that system and use it a lot. But I think for what you're talking about, it probably, I don't know. I think for statics, yes, you'd be okay with it, particularly where you are in a controlled environment. You've got no wind and you're indoors and on a solid floor. But I think you'd be okay.
Is it really the whole raising it up and lowering it down that's the main reason? It's just
that's
adjusting
the main
height?
one is getting, because I do a lot of, getting a nice low, like if this is a tabletop with a product on it, I want to be right here with the camera, so I'll do that, and then I'll do an overhead kind of shot, just back and forth, up, down, and I just am so over adjusting 3 legs and leveling.
But you don't think a C
mainly
stand?
Leveling.
What about C stand?
I could do a C stand. I just thought the triad or that system looked like it was more compact, lightweight, and again the range. I guess I could do like a low C stand.
Someone needs to come up with a budget Chapman dolly, something like that. That's seriously something that you can properly.
Okay, so I found one.
Wheel around, go down.
What you did
with gas?
You found one? A budget Chapman?
Yeah, I found what I was gonna do before this whole idea. I'll hunt it down and share it with you guys. Oh boy, but again, you're getting into like bulk, all this stuff. Whereas if I had 2 triad orbits on wheels, the footprint is what, 16 inches at most or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Super.
Don't love the feet
right
on
up.
those, by the way. They're okay, but
okay. Well, I mean, if they're on casters, they definitely be on casters with a ton of sandbags or something.
Yep.
And then it would be like roll right up against a table. There's no legs sticking out.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what I was hoping for.
Well, I mean, that said,
carry on. I'll find it.
If you when you were saying 2 of them, Were you meaning two separate one? Were you meaning to use two in conjunction with each other, or
No, in different spaces.
places?
The idea is up against the wall. I'd have two. One with a camera ready to go for thumbnails, and one with a camera like ready to film. And I could just grab it, roll it over, one twist, and I'm going up and down with the,
I think it, depending on the range that you would need, I would say the way to do that and to make it stable would be to rig something off the shaft rather than actually using the I/O system on it.
Well, I was going to say, is the I/O where the play is? Because I'm okay with with dumping some epoxy in there and like locking it down with a 3/8, and then putting a 75 millimeter 6-inch hi-hat on top or something.
I find I don't know. if I fly something off it, like a bit of beadboard or something on a with a quacker clamp, which I use outside a bit. If you get any wind, it doesn't matter how tightly you clamp, you tighten that thing up, it will swing. But in your environment, I think you'd probably be okay. But then using that, they're fantastic little they're clamps that they've got the medical grade rubber stuff.
Yeah.
If you use those, like a pair of them off, and you actually rig something out so that it's got a bit more of a support from underneath as well, rather than going from straight off, I think going out perpendicular from the actual stand, you could rig something up that would work with that.
Yep.
I see.
Onto the top tier.
I love that they're weighted stands. I don't love the collar design. I think that it doesn't tighten necessarily the way I'd like. If you're putting a mirrorless camera on there, which really does not weigh a lot, Caleb, it could work. But it's a hard one, I think, because I don't know if it's the right solution for that. I mean, I'm happy to, just let me know if you want to do some tests. I can throw one of them in a box and just send it ground to you.
I mean, I'm sure I'd be able to use it if it didn't work out, but that's the only question is, if I can avoid the play, like hardcore play.
I think it's rigging off.
I like where you're going though with a perpendicular, if I could somehow do a mini super clamp with a what do they call that? Where it's it has an octagon interface on a super clamp.
Yeah.
You can then get a 4-6-inch offset with. Yeah, because I've put a head on an offset with a spigot, and those are rock solid.
Yeah. That's what you want to do.
Be a way.
I'm sure with that would work, because this thing goes up to, it's taller than me, which isn't saying a lot before you start. And that's the taller of the two. I can never remember exactly what it's called, the taller version. But it's 180 centimeters there or thereabouts, which I know will mean nothing to you whatsoever, but that it's a reasonable height, and then it drops down at its lowest to probably about 80 centimeters, I would say, something along those lines.
I the other thing I was thinking about, I mean, I really like the Suray monopod. It has has little feet down at the bottom, but it really adjusts really well, and I do like that system a lot. It would be, how would you rig the bottom of it to be really stable? Because, when you have those small tripod feet, those ones are actually very stable. I find them to be better than the ones that are on the monopod, like the Steadicam. I think that the Suray one is much better. And it even has a fluid top if you need it for panning, but you'd probably put a small fluid head on there anyway.
Yeah.
I think just don't... Yeah.
It's definitely C-stand or something it's got to be heavy duty. I want to be able to grab it and just roll it across real quick.
What about that kooky shit that that company came out with? That was that weird, the Moza thing, that slide pod thing.
Oh no!
That would never work.
No,
it's garbage for that. It's garbage.
Well, it's got a place, but again, I'm looking for essentially a tripod that's a pole.
You almost want you almost want something on wheels, like a normal a wheel stand with something like I can't remember what they call them. The really something to do with aviation. I can't remember the name.
There is a solution, but it's expensive.
A small crane
it's
on
10
it.
grand.
But with a locking gas strut on it, so you can easily just roll the thing around, drop the thing down to floor level, take it back up to whatever it will be, so 3 meters above the ground. That would be the
Yeah.
thing. So that you're not having to, so that it's counterweighted, but it's got a gas strut on it and a lock.
What's
Yeah,
a gas?
the
That would be
proper way
very
to do this
straightforward
is
thing.
a pedestal tripod
Yes.
or pedestal. Let's use in broadcast. Where with
But
one
what's the
finger you
least
can
e-
just lift
yeah,
it up.
But what's the least expensive pedestal tripod you
Ooh.
can buy?
There's
Now,
one
I'll
out
tell you
there
what you
that's not
want.
bad, but again, the range sucks. Whereas Tri at Orbit, I could have like 2 of them, different heights, you know.
What's your
So
floor
it's-
space?
it's-
You say your floor's completely straight. It's completely like
Pretty much.
good.
It's not polished concrete, but it's, you know.
Have a
pretty good.
look. Have a look at a photography. I think they call it a studio stand, which is a studio like a studio tripod for stills photography, which does exactly that. It goes from
What's it
no
called?
height to. I think they just call them a studio stand. I mean, I'm
That's
going
not
to
going to get
Google
me
it
very
now.
far on Google. I'll have to look into that. Oh, wait.
it's
I
yeah.
think I've just
You
found
know
it.
what's it called? Yeah, there you go. I mean, yeah, if you put that in,
But
that'll
you're
come
right.
down.
Studio Titan America. Woo, that's expensive. What is
No, but
COP?
Manfrotto do one, an 806 mini
Here,
salon.
can I share my screen with you, Jem?
Yeah. How?
Uh,
How do you do it?
And I apologize to everybody for completely hijacking the show. Oh, Chrome
No.
required. Okay, hang on.
Wait, why? Oh, and by the way, somebody had mentioned a jib. You know, you take a pocket jib Traveler or something like that. There's just way too much play in those things. They're great for shooting B-roll. I love actually taking a small camera and operating it from the front of a pocket jib. I think like a small jib. I think it's great, but it's just it's not a good application for what Caleb's trying to do.
right.
So can you
Well,
share?
I can.
You can or can't?
I can. I'll switch over to this camera angle.
Yeah, exactly that.
Wait, what? So how much is
You
that?
can get
though?
you can get cheaper things. You get those.
Wait,
things,
hold on. Let me switch
if
you over. Hold on. Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening.
Caleb,
I'm just switching over
if
to
you
Caleb.
search on eBay, those things come up for not that much money because they're quite a limited audience and people don't have studios as much as they did. They're pure photography studios. Yeah, so exactly. So you can rig stuff off that, very easily move the thing around. It weighs a ton, mega stable. So we looked at buying one for our studio that I had in the UK until recently.
Yeah, but how much is that
I did the whole online shopping.
That
one's
$1,600
$1,600
new.
Yeah. But the Manfrotto versions, I think about 1,000, and I think you can get things. I think we were seeing things for about £300, or sub $500 used on eBay. Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's millions of them, but if you keep an eye out, they do come up.
Because you've got this, but I see the problem, Caleb, which is that the height adjustment is like 47.5 inches. It's not. It can't even get to like that 60 inches that you can get to with a
Ideally,
standard.
I'd be able to go like 24 to 70 or so, which is a tall order, I know, but
yeah,
there are things that will do that, I'm sure.
Because you want to also use it, Caleb, where you're getting like the pseudo overhead shot too, like when you take a tripod and put it up against the desk.
Right. Which I've got now a dedicated spot for the overhead stuff, but it'd be nice to be able to just, you know. So this is what I was thinking of, by the way. I'll let this play, and hopefully they won't get us in trouble. But I found this channel with some great stuff. But check this guy out.
Okay, let's check this out. Wait, what happened? That was fast. Oh, here he is.
Talking head stuff. So it's this Pro Aim. It's like this pole thing with this
Pro Aim
gas. And then they've got these dollies you attach this thing to with a 3-way, and you can throw a jib on it. And the whole system isn't bad. I mean, compared to a Chapman dolly, it's a joke.
Well, how much is it, that whole system?
Go to their website real quick.
I'm getting excited
just had it
now.
Up here.
It's the first time I've seen something in like months that has even gotten any of my attention.
Okay, so we go dollies. I think. Dolly accessories. And it's all based on this one thing right here. The Pro Aim the bazooka, which is only $600 or less. $565.
Well, that's what somebody, G-Wiz said to the 5150, said to look it up here. I'm going to show you a link on eBay.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you pair this with one of their Dolly's platform. So I don't know, 1245.
So what's the one on that left? What's the one on the bottom left there? Go down to the second. One? Yeah, that one. How much is that sucker?
1229.
Jeez.
And then you can stack up. So we could build one right here, actually.
Let's do it.
What'd you say? It is or is not expensive?
It's not expensive. I mean, for what I'm looking at.
With.
I mean,
but does it come with the thing? No.
I mean,
does it has it pictured with it?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. If that's $1,200, that's that's some.
So anyway, they talked about it, and then you can go over and throw in a crane,
right?
Or a jib, rather. Is it jib? Right? That's what that would be.
Yeah.
Whatever that pull system is. Anyway, the whole thing. Oh no! This is it. This is the thing I wanted. A little more. 9, 10.
Right, but that's not included with what you were looking at?
No, this is different. So this one is a gas, so you can just raise and lower it. Here, let me go to the video again. Somewhere in here they show how easy it is to work.
He was lowering and raising it back there, but I don't know if that's the shot.
So it's got this really nice way to level it without like dangerously loosening stuff. See that three-way red wheel system?
It looks like it's well built. Whether or not it is, I don't know. Oops.
And by the way, everyone should go subscribe to Threefold. Oh no, that's it. Come on, man.
I think it was there. Oh, maybe that's it. I like what I'm seeing though. Oh, I saw that. That was the gas one.
So yeah, super easy to adjust the height.
Yeah, it's like a doorway dolly as well. It's like
a combination. Looks pretty legit.
It kind of looks like a combination of a doorway dolly and the chap. I mean, it's like kind of this combo.
You can see how that whole setup would get pretty tall pretty quick.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was the only downside, and the fact that by the time you get it all built up, it's pretty beastly.
Yeah, but I mean, in a studio space.
Right.
I mean, what's that? So where is that under? Is that under? It's not under Dolly's when you're on their website.
Accessories. Dolly accessories. But that's a pretty sweet little package. So Threefold. And Ben, I forgot. I meant to send you. They built they took an ambulance and turned it into a grip truck.
No, I've seen that. I've seen this video.
All right.
So there's some brilliant, because this whole thing that we were talking about ages ago about actually putting it's having a common plate system on everything, and then having just bits where you could drop so they have cupboards, all kinds of storage in that place, so they can put built up cameras in, and they've got just everything on. I don't know if it was on Arca or it was on Manfrotto or whatever it was, but it just dropped into the cupboards and just locks into place. It was brilliant. And now currently with me doing my van, I'm looking at something similar in that everything can just lock in, clip into place. It was brilliant.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a very inspirational little video, that.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, they have a lot of interesting stuff. I don't know what they film or what they're doing over there, but they a lot of cool videos. So definitely everyone should check out Threefold. But anyway, very interesting stuff. And thanks everyone for letting me eat half the show trying to solve my interesting problem.
I want another one for everyone then. Opinions on. I remember you mentioned, and it was months ago. I can't remember what we were talking about. You mentioned a budget monitor. Like, I don't know, was it a 5-inch or a 7-inch monitor that you were raving about that would just, I don't know if you'd done a review on it or whatever. Do you remember what it was that you were talking about? I couldn't remember which episode it was. So
just a cheap monitor? Or a nice monitor? Or...
It was a nice monitor that was very keenly priced.
Oh.
You don't remember?
I don't know. There's a lot of keenly priced ones, but I don't know if they're worth...
It was something fairly revolutionary, I
Depends on your use. Oh, revolutionary. Huh.
You were talking about it being something very, very impressive for the price of it, and that are completely.
I can't think of one in particular.
I mean, there was a period of time
remember.
where you were looking at the Andy Cines, and for the money, they really upgraded what they were doing.
You can get a lot of monitor for the money, but I would never use them as like a primary. They're great starters. It depends on your use case, I guess. If you're looking for an easy wireless, little secondary monitor or something, but I'm trying to think. I can't think of it. I can't think of anything.
Well,
you were excited. That was all I remember.
No,
I don't think it was the Andy Cine one.
So
okay.
So I'm going to pop this link into the chat again. And my question to you, can you figure it out, either of you? Is this the gas based, column or not? Because this is $12.29 for this doorway dolly. And it looks like it comes with the dolly and the center column. Is that the right center column? You got muted there. I lost you, Caleb. You're in
Sorry about
very
that.
quiet. No, it's fine.
If it's the one I'm thinking of, it's no, I think that's like a ratcheting, or like those are different levels you can set it to, but it's not like a.
Okay.
It looks like the second stage or the upper stage is.
Yep.
But
the
Pro-Aim's come a long
disadvantage of
way.
this
You
system,
might be able to chat with them. Be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I would buy it, but this could be something that would work really well in the new studio space if it was the right configuration. I don't know.
Yeah.
That looks pretty interesting. All right, well, I'm bookmarking Pro-Aim now. It's been a long time since I've seen their name.
I know, right? Last time I remember Pro-Aim, it was aluminum friction sliders. Remember those?
Yes,
no ball bearings, no
was-
wheels,
yes.
just dragging nylon on.
The little furry pad things on them. Yeah, you used to have to spray them with WD-40 to get them to run properly.
Well, I think this is really interesting. We're thinking about getting this for some of the remote studio applications for clients, which is totally disrelated, but I put a link into it. It's a green screen solution from Lastolite, 7.5 feet high, a little over 13 feet wide. It's $4.99.
Not bad at all.
It's freestanding. And it looks like they have a little lip on the bottom, so if you wanted to extend the green screen, you just have to get the right fabric from them, and you could continue to carry it forward. That's a pretty good solution, because usually what I do is foam back green screen, and then I'll do two auto or, they call them auto poles, or what's the other name for them? There's another name for them, something poles. I always call them auto poles.
It's like a spreader.
They're the poles that go here. I'll show you really quickly.
Go from ceiling to floor, and they kind of wedge against.
Yeah. It's an auto pole. It goes from floor to ceiling. So if you take I usually do auto poles, and then those auto poles have a crossbar. They even sell a kit like that now that you can buy with two auto poles and the crossbar. Here, I'll put it in here. There's one from Impact, which, if you didn't know, is a B&H brand. And take a look at this. That particular kit, we would basically take the essence of that kit, and then we would take a foam-backed rod pocket-based green screen, and then have like a 12-foot wide green screen and take that up to the ceiling. And so, that's like $300 for that hardware, plus you get the green screen, and this freestanding one from Lastolite seems really interesting. So I think we're going to try that and see how it goes. But that's
Love it.
I hadn't seen that product in a while. I mean before. It seems like it's a new product coming from Lastolite. So I don't know. When we see in the new studio,
any other shopping we
Jim,
need to do this evening?
Shopping.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, this is, to be quite honest with you, this is the kind of stuff that is a lot more exciting to me right now. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to build out the grid in the new studio space. I think it's going to be a 1 1/4 inch pipe grid. So that's what we're going to wind up with. And I'm just going to build grids everywhere in the ceiling. And then I'll go over. Well, don't be that jealous. It costs money.
Grids, dude. I can't
Grids,
quite
I love
do grids here.
Whoa, come on!
But
I'm getting
for the
I'm
Dolly,
$3.99.
$3.99.
For the Dolly, $3.99. All right, good. I'll pro aim, and then use that 10% discount. Thank you, David. I very much appreciate it. I might buy a bottle of bitters instead with that $3.99. But you know, you wouldn't think that was a bad thing to do. Yeah. So man, we blew through that. Oh my goodness, it's 55 after the hour. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness.
Time flies when you're shopping
insane.
for gear.
Yeah,
that's true.
This is it.
My goodness.
I'm now in this quandary because I'm having to buy, because of this whole travel thing with Brexit and all that nonsense. But I'm gonna have to start traveling with a carnet, which means that I have to you can't change a carnet once you issue it, and they're quite expensive. That you can't add anything to it. You can not take everything that's on it, but you can't add anything. So I'm kind of working on the basis that all my spending for the year's got to be done like now, so that I can add that stuff onto it.
Wait, what? Start over?
You can't change the carnet. You can only do it once for the year.
So so a carnet is essentially a passport for your gear. If you've not had to do this before, so if you travel to, if I come to the States and actually declare stuff, which normally I just bring some gear and that's fine because I'm on holiday. But if you're working, you're taking gear with you, just to avoid having to pay duty on it. So now from the UK to the EU and vice versa, it looks like this is probably how we're going to have to travel. Not confirmed entirely. So you get every single thing you own, and I mean everything listed you might travel with. Now you can take stuff off that, but it's serial numbers, weight, value. And then you pay a fee for this thing. And then every time you go in and out of the countries, you have to get this stuff stamped. You have to go to the red channel at customs guys. They'll pick 3 things on the list and go, show me this, you've got listed here C200, show me that kind of thing, right? So they pick 3 things and then they send you on your way. Now, once you've got that issued, it lasts 12 months. And after that, you can't add anything to it. If you want to take more stuff that's not on that list, you're going to have to get a new one issued. So this is why they're an absolute pain. You don't have to take every single thing on it every time you travel. You can kind of cross things off on it's called a voucher, but you essentially a copy of the main list. You can take stuff off it. So I'm now faced with having to be using this for every journey between here and the UK. So therefore, anything that I'm thinking I might need to buy, change, I'm looking at doing it now before I get this thing issued.
That's bonkers how you can only take things off, but you can't add them.
Yeah. Temporarily take things off. It's ridiculous.
I've wanted to do that with my children sometimes. Like occasionally I'd be like, I'd like to take you off of my carnet for like the next 12 hours. might have happened with my 12-year-old son earlier. Yeah. So there you go. So, all right. Well, I think this was a very different show. The dogs are going crazy up there. I hear insanity.
Oh, they are. Yeah.
So I think what I'm going to do is continue to savor this delicious scotch and ignore all of that. It's been lovely to spend time with you gentlemen and everybody in the chat again for an hour. And we're going to get back to finding out whether or not
we have a capital.
And a country. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go check out how the Civil War is getting along. And love you guys. And any parting words for our people?
Just thanks for the distraction, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful evening. And we'll see you next week. As long as the internet works.
Indeed. Yeah, great. Everything's locked down again. So this is great. Love hanging out with everybody. The highlight of my week right now.
When I called you earlier, Caleb, it was right after I found out the news of what was going on in the country, and I was like, are we going to do it? And I'm so glad you're like, yeah, let's do it. So it's a great distraction. And I got to drink some booze. Grumpy Penguin, great to have you back. David, G-Wiz 5150.
Everybody, thanks so much.
Everybody here, thanks for the super chats. Thank you for being here every week. And we'll see you next Wednesday. And, come up with some stuff to talk about. If you ever want us to talk about something very, very specific, just go to the c47.com and fill out the form and say it'd be really great if you had some stuff. All right? All the best.
Sounds good.
All right, Pro Aim.
No.
See what's going on. I'm going to be checking it out. See you on the other side. Bye, everybody. All the best.
Bye, guys.